Hi everyone, and welcome to Curtain Call live on FabCollab's Instagram. And as you may know, this is an interview series that features women and non-binary folks in the arts world. And today is a particularly special interview because it was postponed from yesterday. Thanks so much to the gracious Tyanna Nikkita, who we'll be talking to today. And it was postponed because, as everyone kind of knows, there was, the invasion of Ukraine began early yesterday morning, and we found it, that we really needed to hold this space live for our friends in the Ukrainian Toronto community to come and, be together and talk about that. And for those of you who tuned in yesterday, thank you so much for doing so. You can still see that, discussion that was held yesterday, and it's still live on our Instagram. And we'll actually be at Drome Taberna tonight at 6:00 p.m. Obviously, to sing and be together. So if anybody wants to come and do that, we will be there 6:00 at Drome. And today, I really want to welcome Tyanna Nikkita to the series. And just before she comes on, which she will in a second, hi everyone, and thanks for joining. Hey Cody, hey guys. I just want to, personally, I just adore Tyanna's voice. I met her at an art gallery cafe event a few years ago, and just what a beautiful voice. You'll hear it, hopefully, if she's going to grace us with that later today. But also, she's an actor and a singer and a model. And she's going to join us in a second. She started her career super young, at like 18 years old, I believe. She then went to Seneca and has done some music production as well. But you'll hear from her directly about all these things in a second. So I'm going to go find you. Oh, there you are. Perfect. Good timing. I love it. So I just saw that request. And Instagram name, The Wrath of Ty. Oh, my God. So here she is. I've just welcomed her, and she'll be with us in a second. Hey! What's up?
Hey, hold on.
Oh, thanks for being here.
Love it. I have you on two screens, so I just had a little bit of an echo, so I'm just turning you down somewhere else.
Love it. Nice nails.
Okay. How are you?
Holy shit. Long days, man. Emotionally and physically. Long days right now, for sure.
Definitely.
But I'm good, and I really love everyone in the community, so I'm good. Yeah. How are you?
I'm good. It's it's been a long time since I've had to talk to anybody about anything, especially career-wise. So this is definitely like, hey.
Well,
but I'm good.
Honored.
Thanks for having me. Here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And I just want to start off by saying thanks so much for being so gracious yesterday and postponing the interview for a day while we sort of, reeled from what's happening in Ukraine. So thanks for, giving that space to
I completely
other folks
understand.
in the community.
Completely understand. So it's not a problem at all.
It was really appreciated by, all our friends in that community, and they've sent you a lot of love and a lot of thank you. Yeah, for sure.
Well, warm wishes back, and I hope everything works out, because it's definitely a really difficult situation to be involved in, live through, know people that are going through. So it's like, yes. I completely understand.
Thanks, Tyanna. So let's get into it. First, now you say you started at 18. What does that mean, you started at 18? Did you have your first show at 18? Did you sing your first note at 18?
Definitely
first think like, I'm going to be a singer? What happened?
Not my first note at 18. I mean, I actually started a little bit earlier than that, but I like to say 18 because that's a nice, like, roundish, like, number, because I really got going around that time. But yeah. I did start a lot earlier. Like, I think I had my first paid gig around 15.
Nice. Good.
My mom dragged me around to all these places to make me sing when she realized that I had an inkling of talent. So she forced me to sing everywhere, and somebody noticed and hired me to sing at their wedding. So
cool.
That was my first gig.
Nice. Thanks, Mom, in retrospect.
Yeah, I hated her at the time, but I really appreciate the push that she gave me to move forward in this. So
I hear that. She must be proud of you now.
she says that. I hope it's true.
Of course, I'm sure. I'm sure. So, what did you feel like in that moment when you were singing at the wedding?
I was very nervous. Extremely nervous. It was a small affair, so it wasn't anything too massive. There wasn't a ton of people, but it was definitely still something that I wasn't used to doing. I wasn't entirely comfortable, but it was a good experience to have. I actually never forgot it. I've never forgotten that experience. So, there's that.
I bet 15. That's like, do you remember? I bet you remember like the moment. Do you remember what you sang?
I can't remember the song, but I remember the artist. It was Taylor Dane.
All right, all
Um,
right.
yeah, so it wasn't my favorite song choice either. I kind of hated getting through it, but yeah, they loved it and it was fine. So I moved from there and I ended up doing other singing competitions and stuff like that to get me going
Oh
throughout
yeah.
the career. So
Oh my God,
yeah,
singing
it was
competitions.
fun.
I hate singing competitions. How did you do that? What was that like?
Um, so the first one was actually, hold on, my nose is itching a little bit, so excuse
Oh,
me.
this is low pressure. This is cash.
Um,
Do what you,
but
do what you gotta do.
I don't want it to seem like a pick, you know how people are with like the pick and the scratch. So, um,
Oh, good.
I did actually do Canadian Idol when I was 16. So when it came to
What?
Canada, after it bid, yeah, that's crazy, right? When it came to Canada, I was 16, so I did that audition, and that was insane. Like that was like a massive,
Wild.
one of the
That's
biggest
wild.
auditions I've ever done, and something I would never want to do again, even though I did do it a few more times after that. Um,
You didn't follow your own advice.
I was a teenager. I had no idea what I was thinking, but I did do it a few more times. But I wouldn't encourage young people to get into it because it's kind of a mind warp. It really isn't anything to do with talent. It's more to do with the entertainment of it and the show of it. So,
Yeah.
if you don't want to get your heart broken,
Oh,
don't go because no matter what they say to you, you're still gonna feel hurt. So,
oh, no.
yeah.
Like what? What is something that they what? Because I want to spell it right now.
Um, it was, you know, it's not even the fact that they say anything hurtful. It's just the fact that they say no to you and you're putting your heart and soul
Right.
into this. And when you're young, you feel like this is
Hmm.
going to be everything. Like if you
Hmm.
get into the competition, if you win, this is going to change your life. So just the mere fact that they would say no, you're not moving on is very like hard to get over.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Of course.
So,
Well, you're a Fab Collab idol now.
oh, well, thank you. I'm honored.
Hi guys. Hi Fetty. Hi Priya. Hi Leah. Thanks for being here.
Hi.
We're talking with Tyanna Nikkita today. Beautiful singer, actor, model, superstar, idol, Canadian. And so you said you moved to Canada. Tell us, where was that from?
No, no, I'm from here. So
You said,
I'm from
yeah, that's what I
I
thought.
moved so I moved to the city. So I'm from a small town
Oh, I see.
actually.
Toronto.
Yeah. So
Got it.
I'm from here. I was born in this lovely country that we're currently residing in. And but yeah, I was from a smaller town and
Yeah, yeah.
that's the I think that's like the story of every artist. They're from a small town and they move to the big city to pursue their dreams and they're a starving artist.
Oh my God, classic, classic.
that's,
So
that's
you
my
did move here
story.
to pursue your dreams. What was the
I
first thing
did.
you did when you got here?
Well, I was already doing gigs when I got here. I was actually doing a lot of my early performances at the famous Grossman's Tavern. Um,
Wow,
so
nice,
they were very welcoming and
cool.
open arms to me to come in there and experiment with original music and my own band that I brought over from like college days.
Nice.
And that was fun, but I was crashing on couches of my bandmates and I was sleeping on couches of friends because I didn't have anywhere to stay. And I
Yeah.
lived out in Bowmanville.
Oh my
So
God.
eventually I just kind of moved all my stuff down here in garbage bags like the littlest hobo. And found somewhere to stay with a friend for a few months before I, found a place to stay of my own, and then I continued to do music, and that was it.
That
Well,
was
sort of.
it. Or that was like
Sort
the
of.
beginning. That was the
That was the
beginning.
beginning.
Yeah. Somebody's
Yeah.
saying here that you look fabulous. I mean, she always looks fabulous. Like that's
Thank you. I try. I had to be up early because I do have a 6-year-old daughter, so I had to be up early to get her ready for school. So I figured while I had
Oh
some
my
extra time, I
God.
would freshen up.
How is she doing?
She's good. She's
Yeah.
following in the footsteps of wanting to be a showman for sure. She definitely wants to be on stage one day. So
I mean, I think I
yeah.
met her when she was like 2 or 3, and she already was like star material. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
she
Like
came
she was
to
already
the
taking over the
open
stage.
mic. She
She
came to
took
the
over
open
the
mic and
stage.
she was all over the mic. So
Yeah.
yeah, she's definitely there
Cool.
for sure.
Like, but out of her own volition, or because you've like pushed her there, like your
Oh
mom?
no, definitely. I would never, ever, ever, ever push her. Like she just had that in her soul. So I guess that's it. If she wants to do it, I will encourage it as much as I can. See what I can do.
Well, good luck to her in the industry. Well, we're here to
I
support.
will,
We're here to
I will
support.
pass it along. I will pass the good luck along.
However we can help, we're here, of course, because I also grew up, on stage and stuff, touring with my mom. So
Mhm.
I hear that. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, she's definitely been on a few stages with me and seen me perform in a lot of different places. So,
Yeah.
it's always like sometimes she forgets because it's been so long, because of COVID, what I've been doing as a career this
Right,
entire
of
time.
course,
So,
of course.
she sometimes is a little like, wow, you can do that. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I
Oh,
do.
I love her. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So tell us, like, since you, like, as you said, moved to the big city and to pursue your dreams, sort of what projects have you been working on? Like, what shows have you done? Like, what's your favorite venue? Like, what's your experience been since coming here?
Um, So obviously, since COVID, everything's calmed down a little bit, but
Yeah.
I've had a few things that have come up in the past. Like, I did a Women in Soul review a couple years ago.
Mm,
I went to Blue Mountain State there and did a week showcase there with them and
cool.
performed songs that were basically from like Aretha to Diana Ross with a few
Mm,
other performances as well. We got to stay out there and were hosted by lovely people, but the show itself was very it was kind of like a time travel, a history of music through women, right? And
wow.
it was
Cool.
really kind of out of the blue invitation through a friend of a friend of a friend who heard me perform somewhere and saw a video of me and decided
That's
to
how
invite
it
me to
is.
perform.
Word
That
of
was really
mouth,
nice. Yeah,
for
that's
sure.
literally how I've gotten a lot of my gigs in the last like um, 4 or 5 years has been word of
For
mouth.
sure.
So I've had that project that came up. I've worked with people like Sean Jones and Jordan John. It's been great to share stages with them. They've been
Hmm.
great guys as well
Hmm.
to
Cool.
perform with, and um, I don't know. It's been a lot, there's been a lot of little
I
things,
hear you.
music videos and traveling here to like little places here and there, going up north. And one of the craziest gigs I think I did was a wedding where we had to stay on a campground. And in the daytime, we got to pick all the places we would get to sleep. So it was an open, it was an open ground that the bride and groom, their friend, had let them rent for their event. So we got to pick where we wanted to sleep. And I picked this really cute, heated, small, far away from everybody place that seemed really beautiful in the daytime. And I was like, yes, I'm going to be all private and by myself. And when we were done the event, it was dark. And I was alone, and I did not want to sleep up there at all. I was asking my bandmates if I could bunk with them, and I took a frozen, open air, mosquito ridden, like kind of cabin instead of sleeping alone because I was kind of feeling this, like,
Oh yeah.
what's that movie? The Hills Have Eyes type of vibe,
Oh my
very
God.
like people are what
I feel like
I
you
was
made the
like,
right decision with that one.
yeah, I'm
Feel
sure it
like
would have
you're
been fine,
good.
but I was definitely scared.
I feel like you're good. And what have you been able to, or have you completely stopped, or have you been able to or have you even wanted to do anything during, the pandemic and COVID, or have you just sort of paused for a bit and you're like, I'll deal with it when it's open?
Honestly, I've appreciated a little bit of the pause because, to be quite honest, I've worked nonstop since
Yeah.
I don't know, since I was young. So, and when I was able to make this a full-time career and not have to have like a waitressing job or anything
Nice.
behind it, it was just like a go, go, go.
Yeah.
When I
Yeah.
got pregnant, I continued to work. After I had my daughter, there was a very small break, and then I continued to work some more. And when the pandemic happened, I had shows booked that were completely canceled. And at first I was like, a little bummed out and then kind of relieved that I wasn't working because it
Mm-hmm.
had been
Mm-hmm.
so long since I've had any time to just like chill and relax at all. So
Totally.
that was then, but right now I'm kind of like a little bit antsy.
I hear that. I hear that. Well,
A
it's
little bit
coming.
antsy.
It's coming around the
I do
corner.
have some stuff coming up in the future, so that's
Yeah.
something to look forward to.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I want to get to that for sure. I want to and like talk about
Mhm.
that. But I also want to say, like, how did you manage to like continue working so strongly, like full force when you had your daughter? How'd you do it?
It
Advice for others.
I didn't really have much of a choice.
Right.
I was gonna like financially, I couldn't really stop because as musicians, we don't really get like vacation time or like benefits or any of that stuff. So it's like unless you have
Right.
like savings, you kind of have to like just keep going.
Yeah.
And even with the person that I was with at the time, they were also a musician, so we were kind
Right.
of like in the same position.
You gotta go.
And I didn't really have the community that I needed to have to allow me to like take that time off as well. So
Yeah.
I really like had to work
Hmm.
and I had to push everything in my soul to just work. It was like I had separation anxiety. There were
Wow.
times where I brought my infant newborn daughter to gigs with me and had her in another room where I could like be with her on my set breaks. Like I literally took her everywhere, like even on far away gigs. Like so, I don't know how to tell other moms how to handle that because it was really, really difficult. And I wanted to quit. I wanted to give up, and people
Wow.
pushed me and encouraged me to keep going. But there were definitely times where I wanted to stop, and I can honestly say that if I had the time to take a smaller or a larger break than the time I did, I would have.
Yeah.
But now that she's older, it's much easier. Like if you could just have a kid at 6, do it. Like, it's like, if you could just magically have the stork bring you an older kid, like that's like, yours.
You're hilarious.
That's how I would. That's how I would do it.
Oh my God. Well,
'Cause it's
thanks for
definitely
sharing
going to
that.
do
Yeah, thanks for sharing that
that.
for sure. I mean, that's what my mom did. She was a single mom too, and she just brought me everywhere. But I mean, I guess like, when you're a baby, that's what you want. You want to be with your mom, really, right?
Yeah.
It's
Well, she
important for her.
definitely loves it now. Even still, she loves it. She loves to come if she can. Like her dad takes her to places because he still works and still gigs, and so she loves it. She's definitely growing up in the music world and entertainment. So I can't imagine that wouldn't be her life in some way.
Yeah, no escaping it, even if she tries.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh, well, thanks for sharing that for sure. There's a couple of questions I want to ask, and then I want to kind of get into like some heavier stuff that we talked about a bit yesterday, on the
Okay.
phone when we were talking about postponing. But before we go there, for sure, 100%, we need to know, before I forget to ask, when are your upcoming things? Where are they going to be? Where can we see you live? I want to make sure we talk about that before I forget it. What's happening?
Okay, so my upcoming things are like far, far in the future.
That's
I'm
okay.
just
We'll
kind of
take
like
note.
working on, yeah, I'm just working on stuff in the studio and trying to get a little of my own writing getting back up because it's been a while. I've been stunted on that, but I've started to get some like flow going. So I'm doing that. I'm gonna start to put little dribbles of that out there. I was doing the CNE the past few years, which was
Oh,
canceled
really?
because of COVID, but that's coming back up this year. So I will be
Oh,
performing at the CNE again this year in
what?
August.
That's awesome.
So that's yay. So I'm going to be doing that
How
again.
fun. That's cool.
And I I do have a tour coming up with this. It's called Party Like Gatsby, so that's the company. But it's postponed from this year to next year, so it's going to be starting in next May for me. So I'll be doing 5 shows with them when they come to Canada, and I'll let you know closer to the time when those dates are coming up, so that nobody forgets. Because I have them now, but I'll just have to look into it. I have the dates now, but I don't have them in front of me. But I have that, and so as far as any upcoming shows go, I'll just be like doing some quiet at-home recording, and then doing some stuff with a few friends that have asked me to come into their studio to do some stuff with them. And then you'll see me around the city. Yeah, you'll see me around the city, just kind of like hanging out with others, visiting shows, taking pictures like I normally do, and you know, all excited for the spring.
So I'm going to say follow her right now, so you know when to go to the CNE and when to go to some dates on tour if you're in another city, for sure.
I perform with a lot of people, so these shows that I do that are going to come up, I'm sure, throughout the earlier part of the year are kind of last minute, so I'll try to keep everybody updated.
We'll reshare. We'll help spread the word. For sure.
Yeah, definitely. I'll try to keep everyone updated as much as possible. I'm usually pretty bad at that, but hold me accountable, and I will. I'll stay on top of it.
For sure, we'll do our best. And now, please tell us, how did you come up with the Wrath of Ty as an Instagram name? That's just what I personally want to know.
So
I've never seen your wrath.
I don't have a wrath with people that I love, so don't ever worry about that. Except, don't ask my boyfriend; he might say differently.
That's a different story.
I love Star Wars and Star Trek and all that stuff. So the Wrath of Khan I thought was like a really wrong movie. I thought it was a really cool character, and that's basically where I got the Wrath of Ty from. So it's not really like it's not really.
That's so funny.
I will not come for
I got
you.
it. I got a Star Trek reference. My dad would love it.
Yes, yeah.
No, I really, because of the situation of your interview being postponed, I really just wanted to not ignore that and talk about it for a second, because really this platform, Fab Collab, was created to create a platform for artists primarily and arts workers that might be underrepresented, minority, BIPOC communities. I say plural because, as we know, that's not one thing. And really women, non-binary, basically, underrepresented folks in the arts community. So that can take on many, many, many shapes and forms, as you can imagine. On my side, I'm Jewish and Indigenous. That has a lot of history, and a woman in the art scene and an entrepreneur and all these things, and everybody we work with in Fab Collab comes from multiple different backgrounds. The artists that we feature are from really all over the world, being here in Toronto, but again, primarily women and non-binary folks, minority voices, and BIPOC. That's really our focus. So yesterday, you were so gracious, Tyanna, to, give that space to the Ukrainians, but I really was struggling in the morning. I think I mentioned this to you, but I really want to talk about it live, because I think if we don't talk about these things, they can easily be ignored. And it makes me nervous, and I'm afraid I'm going to phrase things wrong and everything. But the thought that I was struggling with yesterday morning was that we're in the, coming towards the end of Black History Month, which I'm going to, get back to this, because I know that's also something that we can talk about. And should it exist? Should it not? Should it be all year? Should we even, anyways, I have a lot of questions about that I don't know the answer to, but I'm just going to finish my thought and we'll come back. So I was like, is it okay, especially during a time where we're really trying to, bring Black artists to the forefront of society, is it okay to use that time in that space to feature non-Black artists, and I really struggle with that thought. And I talked to you on the phone about it, and we sort of talked about well, at least from, I won't put words in your mouth, but from my point of view, I was like, you know what, this is I think a bigger issue. This is about life and death. Right. This is not about what color you are or where you're from. It's about the invasion in Ukraine and people dying on the ground. Right. It's about, people dying. And that's, to me, maybe overarching, as a theme in terms of anyways, I could keep going, but I want to pause here and just sort of ask your thoughts. I know there's a lot of things I just threw at you, but how do we handle these situations? I'm going to pause.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember yesterday you were saying that it just, especially because you were postponing it, for me, and seeing that you felt a little bit bad because you felt like you were taking up space, and I said, not really, so this can't kind of came up at the last minute. It's a crisis. It's something that we did not prepare for. It's not something that like we could foresee happening. So I wasn't going to sit there and be like, no, well, you said I have 12 o'clock on Thursday and I don't care about these things. This is a real
Which would have been,
serious.
you're right. You could have said, I can only do that time. Like that would have been, you're all in your rights, of course.
But this is I think that the mindset of it is it's a human and common courtesy to make space for something that's really, really important. Like we can talk about my life in music anytime. Like that's fine. That's kind of important to me. That's fine. And I'm sure people would love to hear the story, but this is a real genuine crisis and a real issue that should be addressed. And there are a lot of people that were concerned. And when I thought about it, I was like, there was not even a second thought that people would be really, really genuine, happy to have the space to talk about the things that are concerning them, especially if they had people over there, if that's their home country, whether it be Russia or the Ukraine. There's a lot of people that felt like we need to stand up and speak for our people and speak for ourselves because this is important to us. So I didn't have any didn't have any problems. It doesn't feel like a stomp on Black history. It definitely is 100% a human issue. And when it comes to human rights and civil rights, we are all at this moment struggling with the same thing where people don't really consider you human, don't consider you the same level. And this is what we're fighting for right now. This is the conversation that needs to be brought to the surface, regardless of your skin color.
I just want to say flamenco ole. Like that was just so, thank you for saying that. That was really beautiful what you're saying. You expressed it better than me. That's what I was feeling. You expressed it really well. I'm just pausing and let that sit for a second. I think that is the long-term fight, that it is above color. It should be above color. And we're not, I don't know if we're there yet, but, I think that is the goal, to value life. To value life.
Not to ever say it's that all lives matter, because I think that kind of gets like mixed up a little bit when people go, oh, well, Black lives, all lives. No, it's not quite what we're talking about here. We're talking about something that's currently happening right now. It just happens to be like falling in the middle of Black History Month. So, we're going to talk about it.
We can make space for each other, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
I'm just pausing because I'm just letting that settle. What you said is really, really beautiful. Yeah, I agree. All I can say is I agree with you, and thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for saying those things. And I want to
feel
back
like I'm
up
on
a
a
little
CNN,
bit. Yeah, I want to back up a little bit and say and ask you, because this has also been a theme that we've been talking to people about all month this year and all month last year as well, when we like the second year that we've had curtain call interviews during February. So, one theme that came up a lot is like, should we even do that, or should we just make sure that we keep Black people, I'm specifically saying Black, obviously there's many people to keep in mind, but specifically Black people throughout the year, and just make sure we always are programming and always keeping that at the forefront of our minds. Should we do both Black History Month and focus on like, how can we, like, we've been just like talking to people about that and seeing like the best ways to work with community and represent, and like I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
What's interesting is that I definitely feel like the conversation should be integrated more into a regular conversation, like there shouldn't just be a month where it's heightened, where we talk about Black history. But I feel like there needs to be a way where it doesn't feel like it's being shoved down people's faces, where it feels like extremely obvious that we're trying to teach you something, or that we're trying to show you something, or make you feel bad about something, because I don't think that's a really good way to teach people anything at all. So there's got to be a lot of subtleties to how it gets done. And I do feel like it is coming up a lot more outside of the month of February. Like I do feel like the conversation about Black history and racism and prejudice is being talked about way more than it is now. So I'm not seeing that as an issue as much these days. But
interesting.
I just feel like the fact that there are still just like I don't, I really, it's hard to say because in my personal experience, like, I really don't know how to word it right. Like, I don't feel like I've met a lot of people that don't want to talk about race. And I have a lot of white friends. I grew up in a small white town, and I see that there are a lot of people that really genuinely want to learn. There are people that definitely do not know. There's some people, which shocked me, that have that didn't even know Black people. Like, I've gone to certain towns to do certain jobs, and they're just like, in their life they have never met like Black people, and that's the part that shocked me, that still exists. So so I don't think that gets talked about a lot. Like, I think that people only see this black and white version of racism, but there's a lot of people that genuinely do not know anything and have not met people of different races because they are complete bubbles. So it's a really, really, really big conversation to have, and it's a lot to break down. So
we don't know, it's just an open discussion right now.
Yeah, for sure. Like, there are definitely no answers, because like my thoughts are just like, there are many thoughts. Like,
that's where you're many thoughts. Listen to your thoughts.
Yeah, there's just so many thoughts on it, because can't always just be
there she is
within Black people. And it's good of you to ask, because you have a different following than I would have, so there's lots of people that are going to hear this. But anything that we talk about that needs to happen within the Black community, or changing the way things are looked at by people outside the race or the culture, needs to be talked about with people that are not from this culture, right? Because we can talk to each other about this all day. We already know the struggles. It needs to be talked about with people that do not know and that will never live this life. So
definitely. And there's something really interesting you said there about, I mean, all of it, but one note that I want to ask you about is you said that, like, you feel like it's a little different. Like, you feel like there are people talking about this a little bit more outside of, the month of February, Black History or Black Futures Month, some people I've heard call it. So why do you think that, why do you think that change has come about? I'm really happy to hear you say that, but like, what do you think?
I think people have gone from being a little bit afraid to talk about it and oversensitive to now more inquisitive, especially if they have friends that are Black or friends that are Asian or friends that are of whatever race. They're more likely to ask questions as opposed to shy away from it. And I'm definitely open to answer, like, especially if you know somebody that's not going to be offended by your questions. Like, on our side, we have to be willing to hear any question, because there's a lot of things that people will ask you that are very offensive, that you're just like, oh my God, I can't believe you would say that. But that's just what they've been hearing. That's what they grew up hearing. That's just a rumor they were told, things that were, ingrained in them as they grew up through their family, through generations of whatnot. So you have to be willing to, like, hear those types of questions, and you have to be open and not get so like, how, so that's what makes me kind of move forward, I think, for me anyway.
That's a hard thing to do.
You have to be really, really open.
That's a lot, man. I know. I hear you when you say there's people that like haven't met a Black person in their town. Sometimes I get that, like, with my Jewish side, they're like, are you a real Jew? I haven't met any Jews before.
Yeah, no, I've had I remember doing this really ridiculous job where I was selling water heaters door to door in Oshawa, and long story. So I'm like,
tell it.
I went to this one family's house, and it was this grandfather and a grandmother and their grandchild who they were babysitting. And I opened the door, and they welcomed me in. So just know that this was the type of job that you have to go in and talk to people and try to sell them things they do not need.
That's so intense.
It was a terrible job, but I went with a partner, and we went in to talk to these people. And the entire time, their granddaughter was just like hiding behind me and very like afraid of me. And I didn't really think anything of it. But then the grandfather said, "Oh, you know what? I'm so sorry. She's never seen a Black person in real life before." And I was just like,
Whoa.
And I think at the time it would have been like 20, 15, so really not that long ago. Um, no, maybe even a little bit before that, so 2013, so still not that long ago, still in this decade, like, and I was kind of wide-eyed for a second and a little bit shocked, like, you know, are you keeping this kid in the basement somewhere type of thing, you know? It was Oshawa, so it's not like it's another whole of a country somewhere, like not, you know what I mean, whole, like somewhere where it has no cable, no TV, nothing, where you're just on a farm with nothing, no Wi-Fi, like you never go out of your town. Like they are in Oshawa, in Canada, in Ontario, and for me, I was like, should I be here? I suddenly felt this feeling of slight insecurity, like, am I safe in this house? Which is, you know, those people. But that mindset that they'd never shown her anything, she'd never seen that, like, you kind of have to take a step back when we want to call everyone ignorant or racist, because we really don't know, like, why that happened. And then for that small child, she's growing up in an environment like where she genuinely just lives in a world where she does not know other races of people exist. And that's wild. Like, and throughout the world that exists, right? So
well said.
It's so what can you do? You have to acknowledge that exists, and you can't be bothered by it. But you really want people to not hate, you really want people to not judge, you really want people to understand and learn and be willing to learn about you, and that's not always a thing. So this is why we still have Black History Month, because it kind of pushes the education, even though conversations are quietly being had amongst friends and in smaller circles around the world. It's just probably not going to be enough for a long time.
That just put things in perspective. Like right there. I guess like in our community of like, you know, like music in Toronto, it's like so normal. Like, you know what I mean? I see like people from all over the world like every single day. But that story just put in perspective why maybe, and it's not for me to decide this, but like maybe it is, you know, important to have that, you know, like focus for a little while.
It's going to take a long time, you know, like I understand where people come from, where they're like, well, why don't we have like a white history month? And everyone, the other side of the argument is everything is white history. Yes and no, like all history is ingrained, but what's like at the top of the list of the history that we get to hear about is white history, right? So it's not like, you know, Jewish history has been erased. It's there, right? It's not like Asian history has been erased. It's all there, but it's just not like
or Indigenous. Like when I was a kid, there was no mention of Indigenous history of any sort in Canada, you know, and my dad's family, like on his dad's side, it comes from the prairies, pre-Soto. There's zero mention, nothing. And now at least there's some, like in the schools, like kids like talk about it a little bit, you know, they're like at least a little aware, because like who wrote the books, right? In Canada. Probably not Indigenous, probably not the Black history folks, like, you know?
Definitely not. I will say that there has been more, at least a little bit more Indigenous teachings and histories in Canadian schools than there was ever anything about Black history. I don't know what it's like in the States because I've never gone to school there, but I know here that like we didn't learn much about Black history at all. Like, like not at all.
But I guess you got to start somewhere to make the change and bring it to the forefront of society, you know?
Definitely. And I definitely appreciate people are talking about it. Like I'm in a interracial relationship, so like we definitely have these conversations that come up. There's been some like things where, you know, he says like I had no idea like, you know, this was going on. And he's starting to watch like more documentaries and stuff with me, which is upsetting him, you know, like, and I hate to say like slightly desensitized with the things that I see about our history because I've been seeing it for so long, but just to know that like, you know, it has an impact on other people when they are educated about it is like, you know, okay, like more people get like what actually happened and the injustices that like kind of trickle down to what we're dealing with today.
Well, I'm going to take this quick opportunity to say that like, Nikki, do you know like Nikki Lawrence? She was,
I'm not sure I do actually.
Pardon?
I'm not sure I do actually.
yeah. She was on, we interviewed her last year at some point. I can't remember exactly when on Curtain Call. I think it was last March. Anyway, we can find it. But she's a singer in Toronto and she talks a lot about, you know, Black history and Black slavery in Ontario, like in Niagara, you know, region that like people just don't think about and like, you know, have no idea. And she has a show coming out in March. I think it's March 19th. And it's called I am an ugly black woman, or the ugly black woman, the ugly black woman. That's the title of her show and her project. And she talks a lot about these things, so it might be worth, checking out. I'm just gonna
Definitely.
Just, like, our history right here on our own province that everyone is just like completely unaware of. So
because they think Canada is all like great and we all escaped here and all the slaves came and it was a great place. And I'm like, there's a lot of things that happen here that, people don't know about. So
yeah, that family in Oshawa should come check it out.
Yeah,
mail them an invite.
Hopefully they've stepped out of their bubble a little bit and have met
hopefully they went on a walk. Yeah. Oh my goodness! But that's like worse is for the kid, right? Like that's rough. That's not.
You never know. You never know what's going on with like how that happens, and like that kind of opened my eyes as well. Like I said, because it really got me thinking. Like there are different types of mindset. Like it's not all black and white. Not everybody knows everything, so we can't just go and call somebody a racist or somebody ignorant because like some people are just completely uneducated, completely sheltered. So we have to take the time to like really put ourselves in their shoes for 2 seconds.
That's hard.
Not to accept that. Like there are people that you can tell are vehemently not right, with their mindset where you're just like, shame on you for sure. And then there are others where you really have to go like, okay,
that's
maybe
where the wrath comes out. That's where the wrath.
Exactly. That's what that's for.
Gotta like peek out here and there. Oh my God.
You have to really like pick your battles, is what one would say. Like you have to understand like where certain people are coming from, because even you yourself, like being an educated person, the words you use could be a complete language barrier to people that are completely uneducated. So
that's a good point too. Oh my goodness, so many things. Like every sentence of yours is like an essay, really. It's like the title. You're like your relationship. Like I'm like I wanted to like how do you guys deal with that? There's so many questions there. Oh my God. But before, because I know it's like mindful of everyone's time as well, and I just want to say thank you so much for everyone joining. Lady Vividly, that's an awesome name. This conversation is needed and appreciated. Thank you so much. I mean, I feel like we're always just touching on the very tip of the iceberg. Judith Cohen, that's my mom. She says, thank you, Tyanna. I think, Anna Leah sending hearts, another beautiful singer. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Hi, Kalu. Hi, Christian. Hi, everyone. And Leah's on here, our co-host. She'll be hosting next week.
Hey.
Yeah. In March, we're featuring all female or women instrumentalists, so that'll be fun, too. But before we move on, first of all, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat if you want to, ask Tyanna anything. Make sure to follow her. We're going to post about her show at the CNE this summer. What? And
I'm going to
coming tour. That's so awesome. And before I ask you to perhaps sing a song, I just want to make sure that there's nothing that we missed that you really want to, share or talk about or bring up or anything of the sort.
Nothing missed really, but if because I do have a lot of downtime right now and I have taken some time off, if anybody wants to get together and collaborate, write some songs, I'm down for any style of music, for anything at all. And I'm here for the people.
That is a cool
artist.
Guys, take her up on that. Whoever wants to write a song, that would be cool.
I do paint. I do art as well. I didn't mention that, but like that's something I never talked about. But like, I do paint, and that's one of my other things that I do as an artist. Like I paint and do a lot of creative things. So there's that. If you ever want to check some stuff out, I could lead you to where you find some artistic stuff.
I love it. Please do. Please. Oh my God, open to collaboration. That's what our whole thing is about, Fab Collab.
Definitely.
So whoever, maybe Anna Leah, you want to write a song? I'm just seeing what singers are on here, or artists, really. Hi, Lula, thanks for being here. Yeah, you guys should do it. I mean, I'll, if I have time, I want to write a song with you.
Anything is possible. Yeah, before things start like really kicking into high gear this spring and this summer. So
now's the time. All right. Well, thanks for that. Thanks for that invite to everybody. So,
anytime.
Last and not least, would you consider gracing us with some singing of anything that you love.
Anything that I love. Okay, so most of my voice is a little bit rusty, which I feel like every singer does, but
Yeah,
I'm
but it's
gonna
always
hit you
true.
with the
It's always true. And 2 years of not really singing, that'll do it.
yeah, just doing studio recordings at home. Yeah, it's been
But
very
that's the cool thing about live. We see you now, who you are right this second. You know, that's the best. That's my favorite. That's my favorite.
yeah. I'll hit you with a little jazz. Let's see if I can
Cool.
take a sip of this really quickly.
That's awesome. Yes, please.
Um, Summertime and the living is easy. Fish are jumping and the cotton is high.
Mm,
Your daddy's rich
mm.
and your mommy's good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry.
Mm. Oh my God. That like soft vibrato you do at the end is just like incredible. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
I was like, I
you.
better keep it low so it doesn't get too cracky. But
Ah, thank you so much. I adore that song too, but I never heard a song quite like that.
thank
Thank you.
you.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Thanks so
Thank you
much
so
for
much.
having me.
Dude, one of my all-time favorites. And now you singing it is way up there. I agree with that. I agree
Thanks
with
so
that.
much. Thank you.
Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll be back next Thursday at 12 p.m. and our co-host Leah will be hosting. And I believe it's featuring violinist Jessica. But we'll be posting about that. And don't forget to please follow The Wrath of Tyanna Nikkita. And can't wait to see you live and in person, my friend. I'm so thankful you're here. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for having me. And thanks again for this wonderful conversation. And thanks for everyone that watched. You guys were wonderful. I love it. I love you.
And thanks really for delving into those, hardcore topics with us. I know it takes a lot of openness and heart, so I appreciate it.
Put me on the spot there. But it was okay.
You said ask you anything. You said.
Yeah, I did say that. I did say that. So, you got me.
Well, really, thank you. It's so difficult but important, I think, to talk about these things, Yeah. So thank you, Tyanna. Have a beautiful rest of your day. And that goes to everybody. And if anybody's in Toronto and wants to come and sing tonight, there's going to be a community gathering at 6 p.m. at Drome Taverna to sing and be together. So maybe see you there.
Sounds good.
Bye, guys. Have
Bye.
a good day.